Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this week's Sunbelt Conference Football Coaches Media Teleconference. We'll jump right into it and get started. We're now joined with Shawn, the head coach of App State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yes, we were looking forward to hosting Louisiana here on Wednesday night on ESPN, but due to guidance from our university and health department, we had to postpone that game, and we look forward to playing sometime this fall.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Ethan Joyce. Ethan, please go ahead.
Hey, Shawn. I know we've talked a few times, and you've mentioned that this is like a day-to-day thing with the coronavirus. But just as far as the situation right now, what does it look like navigating everything? Like, are you guys working from home, and kind of what are players doing right now with everything really kind of brought to a halt?
We put a pause on our program. We're able to work out in small groups of 5 right now. That'll start Tuesday. But we put a halt. Coaches are staying home. Players are staying out of the locker room. We're just trying to get this under control and do our very best. Again, we've done a great job. Doug and our administration have done a great job of getting a handle on this. But, again, we have many cases right now.
I know it hit both players and staff. Has anybody kind of severely been affected just in these active cases that you've seen so far?
Not that I know of. I talk to Zach, our trainer, on a daily basis, and he gives me an update of where we are as far as quarantine, contact tracing, who's positive. But right now, that's all the information I have for you.
Are you healthy right now? Have you had to deal with it at all?
I'm healthy right now. I'm doing good right now.
As far as the Georgia Southern game, I think the timeline as it sits right now, it kind of seems like it's a difficult thing that it might actually happen on Wednesday. I guess a couple questions there. Have you been kind of part of those talks of like what it might look like going forward for that game? And also, there's not a clear contact tracing number off of this active case number of 19. Can you give me a figure there or a ballpark figure of how many guys are kind of affected by the contact tracing?
I don't have the number exactly, Ethan, on that. That's something that goes to our university. But I have been in contact with Doug on a daily basis, and that was this morning for a few minutes. And after this phone call, about 1 o'clock, we're going to go on the phone and see if we can get this Georgia Southern game played. Again, we have to do what's best for our players and for our coaches, and their health and safety is first and foremost for us.
Last one for me. What are the emotions of this right now? I'm sure it's part worry, part disappointment, but I guess just that part of it. What is it like to be going through this?
Well, it's exhausting. Again, from minute to minute, every day you don't know what's going to happen. And like I said, we play Campbell, and we're down 18 players and 3 coaches, and we get that win, and then we're looking forward to playing Lafayette. Then the bottom falls out. So. But again, this is a national pandemic. There's no plan for it. I mean, if the President of the United States can get it, anybody can get it. He's more protected than anybody in the world. So everybody's susceptible to it, and we just want to make sure we do our part to flatten this curve.
Thanks, Shawn. Stay well.
Thank you, Ethan. Our next questions come from Dan McDonald with the Advocate. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach. Looking past this, and hopefully, that you and your program will come through it in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, your end of the season schedule, because of all this, is going to be heavy backlogged. Is that something that you even think about at this point? And that you're probably, when you do get back to playing, you're probably going to play 7 or 8 games in a period of about 7 or 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's really something I've not even looked at, to be honest with you. I'm just trying to get to play Georgia Southern and to get our guys healthy. But if that's what it is, to play 7 in a row, tough conference games, then we'll do that.
When you originally had to cancel the Louisiana game, was it at first a particular area on your team, or was it just scattered around and all of a sudden you look around and you're missing all the people, and not just the Louisiana game, but then you had the Campbell game that you had so many people out. Did it start in a particular place, or have y'all been able even to identify that?
No. Again, I'm not sure exactly where it started. I just know we had one kid test positive and quarantined 18 players and 3 full-time coaches and 1 graduate assistant. And again, we're trying to do our very best to get a handle on this and hopefully get back to work here later this week and get working on Georgia Southern.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. If everyone can stand by, we're going to take a brief hold here, and we'll be back with Jamey Chadwell, the head coach of Coastal Carolina. Please stand by. All right. Thank you for holding, everybody. We're now joined with Jamey Chadwell, the head coach of Coastal Carolina. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thanks for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yes, sir. So, great win for our program Saturday. I thought we played well in all 3 phases, specifically defense and special teams. Defense really got after their offense, which is explosive, tried to make them one-dimensional and did a great job of that. And I thought offensively did a lot of good things. We did turn it over, faced some adversity for the first time really all year, and was able to overcome that. So it was a good all-around win for us, and gives us a lot of momentum going into the big matchup this week. So I'll open it up for questions.
All right. Thank you, Coach. All right. First questions come from Chris Vanini with The Athletic. Please go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, Jamey, what can you say about the job that Grayson has done at quarterback this year? He's only turned it over once and just really been running that offense.
Chris, yeah, he's done a really good job. We thought we had, obviously a good player there, but I think through the first 3 weeks he's exceeded our expectations. The one question mark, he really hadn't been hit much up to that point, and he hadn't had any true adversity, and they hit him around pretty good Saturday, and also he did have the turnover and had a couple maybe misreads that he hadn't up to that point, and he came back and responded, especially in the turnover, and played really well. So he's done really well so far, and he's really changed, made our offense really go because he's been able to run our option game, but then in our passing, he's been able to put the ball where it needs to be, and has made us so far hard to defend.
Did you see him, stepping up the way he has this year, and did getting in all of spring practice, do you think, help that?
I do think spring helped just because he got 15 practices and got some good reps. The thing that most people don't realize about him, he got quarantined for almost 20-something days in the month of July when everybody came back. We got here July 6th, and the first day he got out was July 28th because of contact tracing and all those things. So he missed that whole time. And so, what he gained in spring, he missed that summer. And when he came back, I'm not saying he was rusty, but, it took him a little while. He missed a lot of the installation things. But what happened there, probably about 2 weeks into camp, Fred Payton, who played a lot for us last year, hurt his Achilles, and Grayson's reps increased, and then he just took over during that time frame, and he really showed what he was capable of, and it was a battle to make that decision, but we as a staff just felt like, hey, this guy gives us the best chance to win at a high level, and he's proven that so far.
I appreciate the time, Jamey.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. Our next questions come from Tim Buckley with the Advertiser. Please go ahead, Tim.
Morning, Coach. Tim Buckley in Lafayette here.
Good morning, Tim.
Hey, you mentioned with McCall making the throws. How more specifically does what he's able to do make your offense go and maybe differentiate a little bit, make it a little bit more difficult to defend compared to that, the Georgia Southern option that the Cajuns just faced in their last game?
Well, we get we are different, obviously, from Georgia Southern, but we do do some of the same principles. So you get a lot of man-to-man. You get some matchups that you want to take advantage of, and if your quarterback can hit those, then now the defense has to decide do they want to play man-to-man or they want to go zone and try to make it a little difficult. And then when you go zone, it opens up some of your run game. So for him to be able to make some of those throws when we are getting man coverage, and especially some of those one-on-one press coverage things, that's allowed us to open up a lot more than normally, because you can, it's hard to run it versus stacked boxes all the time, and you got to be able to make those throws, especially in big big moments, and he's been able to do that.
Gotcha. And last thing, moving it up a week, what sort of complications, if any, does that present for you?
I don't know if it's complications. You'd love to have a little bit more time for them because they're so good in all three phases. But the travel, you're trying to get you got your plane and the hotel and all that. You had it set up, and you got to adjust those. So there's a little challenge there. But for us, you come off a big win. We're a little banged up, but you'd like to keep that momentum. So for me, being able to play early, we're going to look at it as a benefit, and hopefully go up there and be able to carry over some of the momentum we've built it to this point.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Tim. Our next questions come from Kyle Kissing with Athlon Sports. Please go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, Coach, with Isaiah Likely, I mean, when you have a tight end that can produce big plays the way that he does, how much more versatile does it kind of make your offense?
Oh, it makes it extremely versatile. I mean, he's a guy you can put his hand on the ground and he can play a traditional, tight end and block and do some of the things in a run game. But then he's skilled enough to put him out in the slot and put him in some different positions to go win some one-on-one matchups. And he's done that a lot up to this point. We thought he really came along last year, but we weren't as good, and so you didn't get a lot of people on attention to him. And now, through 3 games, I think he's got 3 touchdowns. I don't know his number of his catches, but he's a matchup problem for a lot of different people. And so for us, his skill set allows us to line him up at a lot of different positions and try to get him in a matchup that we think is favorable. And he's strong enough to win versus some linebackers, but he's also quick enough to get out there and outrun some of those guys too, which has been a big deal for us, and it's helped this offense, us expand what we'd like to do, and he's a big reason we're capable of doing that.
Well, and then one of the statistics with him, he's second in the nation in yards per reception. And with tight ends, you so typically think of them being short yardage and goal line kind of players. When you have somebody that can put up like 30 yards per reception the way that he's doing right now, kind of using like a little bit of a basketball terminology, is that something that's kind of like a unicorn kind of player? You have to have a very specific guy at tight end that you can do that with?
I think so. He's a legit, tight end athlete. I mean, he is a big receiver, but is strong enough to actually play some of that tight end, and he's a special player. We think he's a next level player. And I would say you got to have somebody that's specific to do that. A lot of your tight ends can't. Maybe they can run. They're bigger. They're big receivers. They can run, but they can't block as much. For him, he does both well, and you don't know exactly with him in there how we're going to line up. And then when we do get those matchups, he has the speed to take it. I think he was 75 yards the other day on one, and he's had a lot, 40 and 50. He can really run for his size. He doesn't look big on TV or television, but he's about almost 250 pounds moving at that size. So he's a special player, especially at this level, and I believe, in the Sun Belt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Kyle. And we have time for one more. Alan Blondin with the Sun News. Please go ahead, Alan.
All right, Coach. I want to just ask you about Jared Clark. Just how unique is this transition from tight end to basically nose tackle? How did he gain? How did he get up to 350 pounds? And how important has he been for your defense?
Gerard is how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
And how he got up to 350. He was 250 in high school, and he showed up fat. So I think he ate a bunch of Doritos and crap while he was in high school. And so he got here at 350, and so we left him at tight end because he was a little. He thought he was an athlete, and he'd run 2 plays and have to go over there and get water for 5. And so really we were just moving around just to try to get something out of him. We tried him to O-line a little bit, and then we're like, well, let's just put him at D-line. Gave him the opportunities. I said, either you're going to lose weight and we're going to try to move you back to tight end, or we're going to throw you at D-line and see what happens. And for the 2 years, I think he's a redshirt sophomore. Really, for the 2 years, spring and all that, he got hurt. He hurt his foot last fall camp, and really didn't get to do much, hardly anything. And then this spring got hurt again. And so we really, truthfully, didn't think he was going to amount to anything this year because we just didn't know. And then he changed his whole mindset over the COVID pandemic when he was at home. He worked himself into shape, and he came back a new person and with a new attitude. His grades are great. Girls are actually talking to him now. Like, it's a whole dynamics change for him. And so And he's been that was a huge question mark for us for nose guard. If you know, we signed a bunch of, signed some junior college transfers, et cetera, to try to fill that need. And we lost a starter that opted out right before the camp started. And he's been a big plus for us and really filled in nicely.
All right, thank you, Alan, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And we're now joined by Steve Campbell, head coach of South Alabama. If you have a question for Coach Campbell, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thanks for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yep. We are in the middle of an unplanned. Last week we had the unplanned bye week with the postponement of the Troy game, and right now we're in our regular bye week and trying to get some guys back healthy and game planning for Texas State here in a week from Saturday, and then really looking forward to that game. Looking forward to getting back out on the practice field and first home conference game and getting the conference slate open.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Josh Kendall with The Athletic. Please go ahead, Josh.
Morning, Steve.
Good morning.
About the phrase "learning how to win," we hear that a lot from coaches, and I wondered what it meant to you.
Yeah, big thing. I watched a lot of those games this weekend. We didn't play on Saturday, so we had some time to watch some games, and you can definitely see that throughout college football. You've got to learn how to win, how to finish games, and that was our big emphasis going into our past game was finish. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have the opportunity against UAB, who was a very good football team, and they jumped on us early. But that is definitely something that we're focusing on, how to win, which is basically how to finish games, making sure that you're sound in the kicking game, that you drill all of the field goals and extra points that you need to in order to salt somebody away, making sure that you don't have a silly penalty. I don't know, I watched one game where they're running out the clock. The guy took a knee, and then they had a 15-yard penalty which stopped the clock, and they actually had to wind up getting the ball back to the other team. There are a lot of things that go into learning how to win, and those are things that we are constantly talking about and trying to preach to our football team is learning how to win. And first thing you got to do before you can win is keep from giving the thing away with turnovers, with penalties, with silly mistakes, with just miscues during crunch time, and those definitely things that we talked to our guys about. And I thought, the first week of the season we did that against Southern Miss, who, wound up having a big win this past week. We were able to salt that one away against Arkansas State, the last game of the year last year. So I thought we were making progress for 2 games in a row. We were doing the things that good football teams do. Now against Tulane, we let that one get away from us in the late in the fourth quarter, and then this past game against UAB, we had cut it to 14-10. We did some good things that a good football team does. After falling down 14-0, we executed an onside kick. We got it. We took it down and got points. Now a great football team scores a touchdown there and ties the thing up. And then who knows what happens from there. We did convert the field goal, made it 14-10. Then we got back to a third. We got to a third and short, didn't convert, and then the game kind of got away from us. So, we're definitely working those deals that it takes to win football games, and it's a constant daily deal that you got to get. You can't get bored with doing the little things right. You just got to constantly do them over and over and over until they become habit.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you, Josh. Our next question comes from Craig Stevenson with AL.com. Please go ahead, Craig.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Craig. Good morning.
Good morning. How close are y'all to being able to get back out on the practice field? What do you anticipate this week?
Yeah. Craig, we were able to get back yesterday afternoon with all of the guys who were non-quarantined or non-isolated. And we had a good little crew out there, and we were able to throw the ball around, do a lot of individual, a lot of fundamental drills, and and all of that. We'll be back out today and tomorrow. Wednesday will be our NCAA mandated day off. And then we really start getting a lot of guys back at the end of this week. Really Friday is with a lot of them. We'll get a lot back. So we're able to do some things with, and to get a lot of work done with the guys that, that aren't in quarantine or aren't in isolation right now. And then we start getting a lot of those guys back towards the end of the week.
In terms of last week, was it just keeping in touch via video and that sort of thing last week?
Yeah, it was. It was, the main thing we wanted to do is make sure that everything was contained and isolated and all of that. We, tested a couple of times to make sure, and we had another test again this morning. So just, with, I think it'll be 23 days from the previous game, we want to get a lot of stuff done, but you've got to focus and make sure that first things first. It doesn't do any good to to go out and get something done, and then you have a guy or two that may still, be in contagious or whatever. So your biggest deal is to make sure that everybody's in good shape, and we've done that, and we will stay diligent with that to make sure that everybody's safe and that the virus is no longer within our bubble. And we've got time. Now we don't have an overabundance of time. We got to use every day now that we're back at it. But that was the focus of last week.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, and we are now joined with Jake Spavital, the head coach of Texas State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yeah, coming off an open week, it was good to not really have to be stressing over what we've done the last 4 weeks, weekends. But it was good to kind of get a little good on good work, get a little bit ahead for the Troy game coming up this Saturday. And, our kids have been going at it pretty hard since June, so I think they were kind of relieved to just kind of have a weekend off where they could actually watch some college football. And we brought them back in Sunday, and we practiced them pretty hard, and just to try to snap them back into it and get them back into the swing of things, understanding that we now have 8 straight weeks, 7 conference games, and this is our opportunity to kind of correct everything that we kind of look ourselves in the mirror from the past 4 weeks and make some adjustments and some corrections and get these guys locked back in to try to make a run at it in the second half of the season.
All right, thank you, Coach. Our first question comes from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Morning.
Your guys are, a couple of breaks away from being 4-0 on the year. How do you, do you emphasize it? We played really well and just had a couple of breakdowns that kept us from doing that? Or how do you approach your team with that, especially going into, you've played one conference game, but you got a whole bunch of them coming up here in a hurry?
Yeah, that's always been a tough discussion, a topic. I think that we've done a lot of good things, especially coming from last year to this year. I think that we've made a lot of improvements, and we're showing great strides, and we're doing a lot of good things. And the way we've approached it is that, we've got to recognize our mistakes. We got to keep putting our head down and grinding and understanding that, the ball is going to eventually bounce our way if we keep doing the little things right, which is a lot of coach speak, but there's a lot of truth to that. And it's up to us to just to make sure that we're trying to improve in some capacity individually and collectively as offense and defensive units, and also as a team. And if you just keep putting in the work in, understand that we've made great strides, eventually we're going to learn how to close these games out, and the ball's going to bounce our way.
You mentioned grinding it out after this open date, and you mentioned that you've got 8 in a row over 8 weeks, schedule really backloaded, and some good football teams in that group. I know you said you're preparing for Troy, but are you also trying to prepare for the long haul and what's going to be a gauntlet the rest of the year.
No, you're completely right. We took this bye week to kind of look at the deficiencies of where we're at as a team. And it was good to kind of just dissect it all, try to figure out a couple of new nuances that we need to add into our offense and defensive units, just understanding that we've got a lot of football ahead of us and a lot of different varieties of ball that we're going to see. So, it was time to work on some triple option stuff. It was time to work on some heavy set stuff as well and move in and out of different personnel groupings. So, again, we do have a gauntlet of 8 games coming ahead, and it was good for us to kind of look ourselves in the mirror and start practicing some things that we're going to end up utilizing and using throughout the course of these next 8 weeks.
How good is it that you've had a couple of quarterbacks that have actually, seen significant action going into these last, couple of months?
Yeah, man, that's the one that you look back and you're fortunate, to at least have some experience with it. But like at the moment when they tell you that he can't play, you start to scramble a little bit and you start to cut out all your game plan and then see what these kids are capable of doing. But I've at least now had 2 games with both of these kids, Tyler Vitt and Brady McBride, where I can at least figure out what they're comfortable with, what they're good at doing. And, I've always called games differently with each quarterback that I've ever had based off of, their strengths and weaknesses. So it's been good for me to at least have an understanding of what these kids are capable of doing. But you look forward now, we're going to have everybody ready to roll, at injury depending. But right now, we're full strength at the quarterback spot. So I think it'll be fun to actually utilize both of them in these games.
Appreciate it, Coach.
I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
Thanks. We'll see you guys.
Thank you. And we are now joined with Chad Lunsford, the head coach of Georgia Southern. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thanks for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Yes, no problem. Thank y'all for having me today. Obviously, good to get a win. Definitely came down to the last play again. That's 3 weeks in a row that our games have come down to the last play. Did not finish the way we wanted to in that game and put it away, but hats off to ULM and Coach Viator. They did a tremendous job of keeping themselves in the game and giving them opportunity to win at the end. Happy for our guys, happy for our staff that we were able to pull it out, get it done. We obviously got to get back to work this week and get better. Looking forward to having another opportunity.
All right, thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Nathan Dominance with the Savannah Morning News. Please go ahead, Nathan.
Hello, Coach. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for asking. A couple questions. One is, can you talk about the kind of tough yards that J.D. King gets? He seems to get hit a lot on every play. Doesn't seem to matter that much. Can you talk about what kind of runner he is and why he is so effective?
Yeah, JD's very strong. JD's got good vision. JD understands our offense. The offensive line is doing a really good job for him, but his strength is as soon as contact's made, those legs keep pumping, they keep driving. He's a really good running back of yards after contact. Really like where he is right now mentally. He's just really engaged into what we're doing and wanting to be great. And I think that that desire and his strength is what really causes those extra yards to happen.
Okay, thanks, Coach. And as far as the schedule ahead, when you have a game on a Wednesday, Georgia Southern's had this experience. We have the midweek games on ESPN at night. Can you talk about what kind of schedule changes you make to make sure that the guys come out ready to go on a Wednesday night rather than maybe being a little flat because they're used to the routine of a normal week? What kind of changes in the schedule do from today forward?
Well, so this is not a traditional bye week for us just because of that Wednesday night game. So what we'll do is we'll meet today and put the game to bed, the last one we played, and then we'll get practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then we'll give them off on Friday, and then we'll get going again on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and then obviously play on Wednesday. But the main thing is just getting them back into the routine of what a game week is and how we do a game week, and it just ends up being a different name of the day. Usually we reset on Sundays, and take Mondays off, and then we go work days on Tuesday and Wednesdays, and then we walk through on Thursdays, and then a little bit of a up-speed practice on Fridays, and then we play. So we'll do the exact same routine. It just ends up being different days of the week for us for a Wednesday night game.
Have you found through over the seasons that some things work better than others to make sure everybody is at a peak effort on Wednesday nights? Have you tried different things or heard coaches try different things to kind of get everybody where they need to be?
Yeah, I think you can do different things. I think though you may mess up if you're not keeping them in their routine. There's times, especially like road games, we'll flip our normal Friday practice. We'll flip it to Thursday and do our normal Thursday practice on Friday. So we'll do things like that. But I don't think that you change up too much, because if you get out of your routine and you get out of what they're used to, they don't feel as comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Coach.
Yep, no problem.
All right. Thank you, Nathan, and thank you, Coach. We do appreciate your time today.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
All right. If everyone can stand by, we'll be back with Blake Anderson of Arkansas State here at 11:05 Central Time. So please stand by. To our members of the media, please stand by. We should have Coach Anderson on here shortly. All right, thank you for holding, everybody. We're now joined with Blake Anderson, the head coach of Arkansas State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Coach, thank you for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure. Not how we want to start conference play by any means. With a road loss to Coastal, got to give Jamey and his crew a tremendous amount of credit. I thought they had a solid game plan. I mean, we kind of expected it, to be honest with you, for them to, run the clock and, shorten the game and really try to maintain time of possession. They did that perfectly with how they controlled the ball and moved on third downs. But just ultimately just felt like we just were off balance all day. We're kind of finding out what life coming out of a COVID situation is like. I thought we were a step slow and sluggish, and Coastal just really owned both lines of scrimmage and played just played their game plan out much better than we did, and we get beat by a good football team. Again, I give Jamey a tremendous amount of credit. He's done a great job since taking over, recruiting to fit his system, and you always kind of know what the game plan is going to be, and I thought they executed it really well and deserved to win the game. Most frustrating for me was just how we finished. I thought we fatigued a lot, especially in the second half. It showed. We didn't tackle well. We didn't finish the game well. And something that we got to continue to work on and try to build our endurance back up and our cardio back up so that we can continue to play, in and throughout the end of the game when we needed it most in the third quarter and fourth quarter. We didn't have the juice that we needed, and that's something that we are addressing and working on, but it's real, and it's something that we have to be more active in that process. So it showed a lot down the stretch, and just did not like the way we finished that game at all. So we got to pick ourselves up, and we get to finally play at home. UCA is going to come in with their hair on fire, excited to play us. They caught us, sleeping a few years ago and beat us here at home. We don't want that to happen again, and I thought they played a great game against North Dakota State this weekend and showed that they are a very capable football team, a very good, well-coached football team, and it'll be a big challenge for us. So we got to step up and grow up quickly.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Jeff Reed with A-State Nation. Please go ahead, Jeff.
Morning, Blake.
Morning.
There have been special team snafus in each of your games so far. Any particular reason for this?
Well, we got some new guys in roles that they haven't been in the past. When you consider Cody was the punter and the holder, we're with a backup snapper right now due to Cottingham being out with he was diagnosed with mono several weeks ago and has been out. New kicker. I mean, most of the positions, with the exception of Groupie, kicking field goals they're all new and inexperienced, and I think you're seeing that, just guys that haven't played very much. Things that we got out of Cody and Seth, just their experience level, the maturity level that we're not getting. And the kickoff return, ball on the ground was just lack of focus. It was something we talked about and worked out on all week. We expected it, especially with the wind blowing, and we had a mental mistake there that cost us a turnover that was very, very much avoidable, and we handled it well after that play. But it was that one play that just was just absolute focus, loss of focus on a veteran player.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for today. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we are now joined with Matt Viator, the head coach of ULM. If you have a question for Coach Viator, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure, thanks. It was a really good game. And, obviously it came down to final play of the game, and evidently was very, very close because I've just never been associated with anything like that, the last play of the game and that kind of delay to look at it on replay. But it was a really good football game. I thought our kids played really hard and battled back and, certainly had a chance to win. Credit Georgia Southern. I think they got really good players. I was talking to Coach Lunsford before the game, and Wirtz and King and Kennedy, seem like those guys have been here forever. They're good football players, and they continue to make plays year after year. So, very disappointing for us. Because, obviously we're that close to winning, but we have to move forward. Liberty's 3-0. They're playing really good football right now. Their quarterback is really good. And, his ability to make plays and to run out of the pocket and stuff is just, giving people fits. And so it kind of starts with him. They certainly are talented at the wideout position, and they want to run the ball and then play action and RPO you with those wideouts. Defensively, they've played really good, and I know they got some new guys from this year as opposed to what they had last year. But they're playing good defense, so it'll be a tough game for us. I was telling the players this morning, we're not used to around here really the noon kickoffs, or really be 11 o'clock, Central Time. Stuff, so it'll be a different routine in terms of getting up and getting ready to play. But hopefully we have a good week and play a little better.
All right, thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Dan, please go ahead.
Morning, Coach.
Hey, Dan, how you doing?
Good, doing well. Your team was, after having some wider margins in the first 3 weeks, your team rallied back. What does it say about your team that you were 0-3 down in the fourth quarter, but you put up a touchdown, you get a stop, and you get the ball back and come within a yard of taking a win? What does that say about your guys?
Well, hopefully, Dan, we continue to practice hard, which we did last week, and and play better. But no, I'm proud of the effort, no doubt. To come back and, to come that close, really, and, when you look at it and stuff. So, no, I'm proud of the effort. I thought we played hard and basically, what we want them to do, compete and have that good competitive spirit and, play the game. And we did. And it's just, I hope that we can continue because, I've thought, and again, I guess that's why I've been so hard on myself. I think we have better players than what we played the first few weeks. I really do. I know we have some new guys, but still. And hopefully we can continue to prepare. And, we missed a lot of camp. And so hopefully we have an opportunity to get better is what I keep telling them. And hopefully they'll stay after it.
You talked about your guys. I guess nobody should do one of these and not ask a question about the health of your football team. How are you going into this week?
Pretty good, really. We had a couple guys miss last week, but I'm not sure we'll get them back. Mason Hussman, who's our most experienced, defensive lineman. He had to sit out the game, and we had a couple other guys with some bumps and bruises that didn't do a whole lot. So I don't think, doesn't look like, we had serious injuries last week. I think the bumps and bruises type it looks like. So hopefully we can get the guys back. I think the big thing for us, Dan, is to get them back practicing. Sure, I want them to play, but we need to practice. We just haven't practiced near enough at anything, and it's just, and it shows. So hopefully we can continue to practice and, hopefully keep getting better.
Have you been pretty much, since you had the issues earlier, have you been pretty much positive test free over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, we have and stuff, and just an isolated incident or two, and but for the most part, yeah, the last few weeks, since since the season, since we started playing, we've gotten that part of it's gotten a lot better.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for today. We do appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You as well. If everyone could stand by, we will be back with Billy Napier of Louisiana here at 11:19 Central Time. So please stand by. All right, thank you for holding, everybody. We're now joined with Billy Napier, the head coach of Louisiana. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Well, obviously we were open this past weekend. We certainly are appreciative of the Sun Belt Conference in Coastal Carolina coming to an agreement to play this week. I know prevented us from going 21 days without a game, and we're very appreciative of them cooperating from that perspective. And I do think Coastal Carolina is one of the more improved teams in our league. Certainly the young quarterback has done a great job of helping them play really efficient. The skill players that they have around them, the tight end, the running back, the receivers, very explosive group. And defensively, I think they've taken a step forward and improved not only personnel but conceptually. It's very evident that Coach Chadwell is, the program is improving under his watch. We've got a lot of respect for him and his staff, and certainly their program. The big win for them last week, obviously, against Arkansas State. So it's going to be a great football game and a great matchup, and it'll be imperative that we have a really good week of prep.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Alan Blondin with the Sun News. Please go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, Coach. You guys have had one home game with a limited capacity. I mean, at least you have something there. Did you notice, the impact on the team, and can you get much from a smaller crowd like that?
No, I was very impressed overall with the atmosphere. I think our administration's done a really good job of working hard on and developing their plan. The feedback that we got from the people that were there was that it was safe, it was well thought out. Certainly everybody spread out a little bit more than usual, but I think we are thankful that there are people there, and certainly are very appreciative of the fact that we sold every seat that was available. So I'm hopeful that we continue to do that, and then certainly as time goes, maybe capacity increases. We'll see. But in general, I thought it was beneficial for everybody involved.
And just my second question, how beneficial to the offensive staff is it to have a guy like Levi with his both his talent and his experience running the offense?
Well, I think Levi is a product of a lot of hard work. I think he's really done a great job of setting an example of how to work, whether it's in season or the off season. He's very deliberate about everything that he does. He's really developed nicely as a quarterback. He's improved significantly. This is our third year with Levi. We're certainly better because he's a part of our team. I know I'm a better coach because I have an opportunity to coach him every day. So he can do everything. He can throw, he can run, he processes well. He's got a big arm. He's accurate. He has done a good job for us so far.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you, Alan, and thank you, Coach. That's all the questions we have for today. We do appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
You as well. All right, folks, stand by. We'll be back with Chip Lindsey, the head coach of Troy, at 11:26 Central Time. It's about 3 minutes, so please stand by. All right, thank you for holding, everybody. We are now joined with Chip Lindsey, the head coach of Troy. If you have a question for Coach Lindsey, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thanks for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with an opening statement?
Sure. Yeah. Appreciate you guys being here. Obviously didn't get to play last week. South Alabama had to reschedule that game, and our approach on that's kind of been control the things we control, and could be us in 2 weeks or whatever. So no ill will there. Just looking forward to playing that game. Hopefully at the end of the year. We were able to get some guys that were banged up maybe from BYU. Get those guys feeling a little better. Had a good week of practice yesterday or last week, and then obviously now turned our attention to Texas State, and who's a much, much improved team and very impressive on the field. But we're excited to play our first home game here at the Vet this year. It's amazing that it's going to be the second week of October before we play a home game, but that's just the way things worked out. But we're looking forward to it, and looking forward to getting on the field this week and getting a good plan together. Questions?
All right, thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Dan McDonald with The Advocate. Please go ahead, Dan.
Morning, Coach.
Morning. How are you, Dan?
Doing well. I guess nobody should get on one of these things and not ask the first question about asking about the health of your football team. I know you had to stop because of South Alabama's issues with COVID, but do you have any issues, and what about the overall health of your team?
No, we're actually in really good shape right now. We've got a couple guys that are are affected by isolation or COVID or whatever, but we're in really good shape and as healthy as probably we've been a long time at this point. So obviously when you test every week, you're always susceptible to guys becoming positive or whatever. But we'll find out this week. It's almost every week. You're just waiting for the results to get back. But right now we're in a good spot, and hopefully we'll stay that way.
If you are able to reschedule that game, you could face the possibility of playing 10 games in 10 weeks and playing into mid-December. Does that concern you any about playing that volume of games during that short a time span, and also after not having a lot of games early in the year?
Yeah, well, once the new schedule kind of played out, it was going to be 12 weeks in 12 games in 12 weeks. So, yeah, that's always a concern as a coach. I mean, you'd rather have a bye week in there for sure, and hopefully somewhere around the middle. But just didn't turn out that way this year, 2020 being one of those unusual years. To be honest, we're really just excited for the opportunities that we have to play. I think if you look around the country, that's the way most people are feeling. Some teams haven't played a game yet. I think about Houston or whatever. So our guys are just trying to take it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, and we'll just do the best we can do however the schedule's laid out for us.
How do you approach the young guys you have on your team? Because they're playing, a lot of them probably their first year of college football, and it's the weirdest year of college football in recent memory.
Yeah, you're right. Even in a typical year, it's an adjustment for those guys. But I just think you continue to talk to them, educate them, keep them up to date what's going on, obviously with our program, but around the country, and then trying to educate them on the things that we're trying to do to make sure that we stay as healthy as we can. Again, I don't know that you can actually avoid any of it. I mean, you're going to have some, I think, anytime you test. I mean, I got two sons that play high school football, and they don't have any issues with COVID. Well, they're not testing, so they don't know that they got issues unless a kid's symptomatic. So, it's two ways of looking at it. When you're going to test all the time and like we do, then you're going to have to deal with some of those positives and so forth. And that, I think that's the difference I see in high school and college is they're playing their games and clicking along, but at the same time, they're not testing, so they don't have those issues like we do.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Dan. And thank you, Coach. That's all the questions we have for today. Do appreciate your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, everyone, stand by. We'll be back with Shawn Elliott of Georgia State here in about 3 minutes. So please stand by. All right, thank you for holding, everybody. We are now joined with Shawn Elliott, the head coach of Georgia State. If you have a question for Coach, please dial *1 on your phone at this time. Again, *1 to get in the queue. Coach, thank you for joining us today. Would you mind starting us off with the opening statement?
Sure. It's good to be with you guys. And, yes, coming off a pretty good win against East Carolina in the American Athletic Conference was pleasing for us as a football team. I think, and going back and recapping our game and kind of watching on film, we open up the game receiving the ball, and we throw on our first play, we throw a pick six. And it was a true testament to just who our team is. When something like that happens, especially in the first play of the game, you really have to stand tall and kind of look it right in the eye. And we came right back offensively, and I think we put a scoring drive together in about a minute and 10 seconds, and really just rolled from there. And it was good to see. Very proud of our defensive effort. I mean, all day long they kept those guys off balance, weren't able to run the ball very well, and the protection was, pretty much non-existent. Our front seven did a very impressive job getting to the quarterback and just rallying our team and holding those guys in check. It's an important non-conference win for us, and something that we can build upon, and something that we're very proud of, because that was the first time our program had ever defeated an American Athletic Conference opponent, and the first time we had played East Carolina. So getting that win was a good one.
Coach, our first questions come from Stan Autry with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Please go ahead.
Hey, Shawn. Following up on that defense. If you just look at that score, they see 29 points, and they don't understand that all those turnovers, all those touchdowns they scored were not defensively allowed. You just gave up the 2 field goals. How would you rate that defensive effort? How would you rate it since you've been there?
Oh, one of the best we've had. I mean, it kind of reminded me of us playing Western Kentucky, where we put so much pressure on that quarterback, and I think that day they rushed for -2 yards, and it was our front guys that did all the damage. It ranks right up there, to tell you the truth. If you don't give up the fake field goal right there, and then of course they got their hands on a punt, it looks really, really good for us defensively. But they played an outstanding game. Everyone involved. I mean, it was a great group effort from Tay Lane in the secondary, Quay White with another interception, Trey McQueen as well. Then all the pressure with those guys up front, Dante Wilson, Hardrick Willis, Thomas Gorse getting in there. You love to see that. You love to see those guys go out and play really, really well. And, we struggled a little bit defensively, and not a little bit, a lot. And I've been waiting for that. Our staff, us as a whole team, have been waiting on a dominating performance by them, and it was certainly one Saturday.
Has there been an area that's shown the greatest improvement since a year ago?
I think our secondary has really improved. I think our safety position is doing a better job. Our corners are understanding the concepts, and it's not just one area. I hate to even really point them out, but everyone involved. I mean, from the frontline guys to those inside and outside linebackers to our secondary has really just performed at a much better tempo, and they're a lot mature. I mean, maturity has a huge role to play in it. They've all played a lot of games, and you're seeing that on the field.
All right. Thanks, Shawn.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Stan. Our next questions come from Brady with ThursdayNight.com. Please go ahead, Brady.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, man.
Sticking with the defense, Antavius Lane got named the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Week this week as a freshman. Was it sort of when, not if, he was going to find the end zone for you guys as a coaching staff? You would talk about his playmaking skills going into before the game started this year.
I mean, Tay Lane just has the knack to be where the ball is. I mean, whether it's forcing fumbles or intercepting passes, if you go look at his high school film, I mean, it was incredible how many turnovers, and not only just turnovers for touchdowns that he created and took back to the house. So what you see in practice is typically what you're going to see in a game. And, all during our camp, I kept kind of throwing his name out there a little bit just because he showed up and I was around the ball so much. So I was certainly waiting for a pick from that young man or a forced fumble.
And then on the offensive side, a guy who's kind of had a niche role this year Terrence Dixon's been able to do some receiving, but he's also gotten some runs in the option game. Talking about just his performance this year, and then also what it means to see him as a former walk-on, and then also coming back from his injury last year.
Oh yeah, well Terrence is awesome. We awarded him the number 0 this off season because of what he stands for and how he works, and academically and his leadership skills. But he's a great young man. I mean, he did have a tough a year ago where he tore that ACL, but worked so hard to come back off of it. I told him if he could run just a tad bit faster, he would have led us in rushing on Saturday. He had a chance to break some long ones and broke them, but just got hawked down. But he's a great young man. He's one of those guys you stand around and you enjoy talking with. He's always got a great smile on his face and kind of makes you smile when you see him. And I'm just pleased to see him go out there and do the things that we see him do every single day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Brady, and thank you, Coach. That's all the questions we have for you today. We do appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. This will conclude this week's teleconference. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. A copy of this will be posted on sunbeltsports.org later today. If we can provide any assistance, please feel free to reach out. We hope everybody has a great week. 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 Has a great week.